Welcome everybody to this webinar on a next generation network demands a next generation organization. My name is Aaron Bosen Patel and I'm the Vice President of AI and Customer Experience at TM Forum. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome some of the panelists who should join me on stage at Mobile World Congress. Utpal Mangla, who's the Vice President and Senior Partner and Global Leader of IoT and Blockchain at IBM. Rajesh Mishra, the CTO and founder of Parallel Wireless. And Bijoy Pankajakshan, the Chief Strategy Officer of Mavenir. Welcome, everybody. So we're here to talk about the next generation network demand and a next generation organization. Before we talk about the next generation organization, I really want us to talk about what the future demands of the network are going to be and how we can address those issues. I think we all hear in our day jobs all these wonderful statistics that go around, and you know, rather than being kind of a bingo buzzword, but it's crazy when we think about that by 2025 there's going to be an estimated 100 billion connections around the world. Network traffic is going to grow by 10%, and 5G is going to add extra complexity to the network due to higher frequencies, plus this demand of what we call this forest of antennas. With all of this said, how can we handle all of these challenges? You know, is AI and automation the future, or is there other ways that you think that service providers can look at this? So, Rajesh, I'll start with you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Alex and Aaron, for having us, and thank you for organizing this. You know, the AI and automation, short answer is yes, AI and automation is the answer. What we are seeing in the industry, right, as the computation is becoming, thanks to Moore's law, much more possible, the big data is no longer a scary thing, and we are actually leveraging the big data. So as we go through the densification of the network, the AI that actually takes care of a lot of intelligence in the network, and eventually why we are doing all that thing is to help in a total cost of ownership savings. Because as you may know, the biggest hurdle for operators are total cost of ownership, while we are working on the Open RAN side of the ecosystem to solve the cost of ownership. The services part of it, that's also a bigger chunk of the cost. This is where AI and automation are, you know, they will play a big role there.
Great. And look, what about for you? Is AI and automation the future?
I agree with Bijoy. AI and automation are tools, if you will, or mediums to help both from a CapEx standpoint as well as OpEx standpoint in terms of looking at new ways of doing business. So yes, AI and automation, and AI has many facets, if you will, robotic process automation, end-to-end automation. AI also has many facets in our industry across the three strategic imperatives of digital customer engagement, network and IT agility, and enterprise transformation. These are the ways by which the workforce of the future, the workplace of the future, and the businesses of the future are going to change, evolve, and disrupt. And in our industry, as we move into 5G and use 5G on the edge, AI and automation is going to get more prevalent.
Great. And Bijoy, over to you. You know, is it going to do everything it's meant to do? Is it going to be the savior for us?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, welcome everybody to the panel, and thanks for organizing it in spite of MWC getting canceled. So happy to have this still going on. I think when we look at 5G, it's adding complexity not just from the radio considerations, but also 5G we view as a significant catalyst for network transformation. So this is the evolution from telco clouds that are there today to the IT web scale architecture. So if we look at it, then the programmability, you talk about SLAs for network as a service. All of this, we need to look at having a sustainable OpEx model for future networks. And operators are now trying to figure out how and what is an innovative way to stop the OpEx increase while networks is going to be increasingly complex. And in that regard, I think in addition to AI and automation, which the other two speakers also addressed, I think analytics is going to be a key element to it. And we call it sort of the AAA functions, AI, automation, analytics. And real-time response takes milliseconds, and AI could be used to build this personalization. In fact, Mavenir's vision statement is delivering intelligent 5G network, and we see these three tenets, AI, automation, and analytics, as key to being able to deliver that intelligent 5G network. Another part is that 5G has to support the new use cases with complex end-to-end domain, which considers access, transport, and core network slice management. And for us to effectively manage that, again, AI is going to be playing a key role. So all of these infrastructure requirements and new use cases, I think will require us to use these tool sets and for all of it to come together for successful network transformation.
Great. I just want to pick up on a point that both Bijoy and Rajesh have come up with, and this is the role kind of analytics and big data. And I think this is very important because AI is only as good as the data that you have, running through it. But time and time again, what we find is actually getting access to that data continues to be a huge problem for service providers, whether it's, genuine access to the data, it being, due to GDPR regulation or internal governance. We don't have access to that data, or dirty data again and again, and governance becomes the #1 challenge for service providers. Rajesh, how much of a prohibitor do you think the lack of access to data, or the fact that data isn't, clean enough for us to use and really get those insights from, is that holding service providers back, and do they need to do something about it?
Yeah, very good question. So the data actually, what we did, we were the industry's first Open RAN controller, and which we did quite some time ago. And by the way, today we got the good news that we won 2 Gloma Awards, including for our Open RAN controller. I wish we were on the stage to get that. The idea behind the data is, right, the controller or all the Open RAN functionality, we are actually sitting on a lot of data. In the past, that data was not harvested. That data kind of stopped at the RAN or the radios. Now actually with the controller, specifically, the kind of the architecture we have built over the years, that data is there, it's available for the operators. Obviously there's a fine line between tracking a user, which is kind of, you touch into the GDPR side of the aspects, but the data where you are using to harvest for the automation and making a network better, that part of the data is actually already there. And that data just gets better and better in terms of as more and more of these network elements start to participate into that data lake. And then obviously the AI just adds on to this kind of harvesting of the data. There's many facets of the data you can harvest. Obviously the SON, or the real-time SON, which is one of the big thing we do, as well as the automation, as well as kind of visibility into the network KPIs, where the hotspots are in the network. So all these pieces start to play in a different, like CapEx and OpEx centric roles.
So Utpal, if we look at IBM is processing huge amounts of data every single day on behalf of service providers. I'd hate to even think about the amounts of it. How easy is it for you to glean those insights which are necessary for AI and automation and better predictive maintenance? I mean, I think Rajesh, as you were saying, I think we've got access to a lot of network data, probably more than customer data at the moment. I think customer data is the one that's still very difficult to get. But from an IBM perspective, Utpal, do we service providers need to go a step further to enable you guys to do an easier job at actually improving network reliability by having access to data?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Very good question. And I would basically say, before getting into the details, if there is garbage in, there will be garbage out. And if there is limited data, then it's very difficult to provide insights. So we in IBM have been working with data on the network side, especially our cognitive network operations, 360-degree view of a network customer, pattern analysis that we do in terms of using AI and automation on the pattern behavior, on the service quality operations, our cognitive network 360 insights. All of it is heavily dependent on data. What we do find, Aaron, is the clients, our carriers, they do have data. It's either because they have not been able to bring it all together because of mergers of companies, or they are not harnessing it the right way. One of the key challenges we are seeing in terms of scaling AI is the lack of richness of data. Because for AI to be fully effective, for the KPIs to hit the sweet spot, data is key. So bringing all of it together, either in data lakes or in repositories where it's all coming together, that's one of the key inhibitors that we do see in carriers who are not able to effectively leverage AI in the network space.
Great. And Bijoy, what about from your perspective? You know, because as you mentioned, there was the three key things. You know, AI automation and analytics were critical really for moving forward on the network. Which in those areas are you seeing the most progress? I'll change the question around a little bit for you.
I mean, if we look at each one of these areas, I would say automation is already taking a big part in the network because you have to bring down the cost of running network. You look at Rakuten, you look at what Dish Network is talking about, any one of the greenfield operators, as well as the traditional operators who are there, if they need to reduce the OpEx and run in comparison to web scale guys, the cost at which they run their network needs to go down. So automation would be one of the key areas that they focus on right then. And to realize the automation gains, then you have to bring in tools like AI and analytics. And as the panelists just mentioned, the problem is not that data is not available. It's how do you take this data and make good use out of it? How do you train this data, determine the right model to use so you can actually program it to be used with AI ML models? That's where we have seen the challenge. If you look at, for example, the vast amount of user data that's available today from voice and messaging and data applications, that data is being stored in different data lakes within the operator network. But if you're able to just implement use cases around customer churn, that itself has got challenged because the data is segmented and being stored across so many different data lakes. And now we're talking about the first set of use cases where AI and ML would have a bigger role. It's not just in conversational bots where customer experience is improved, but you're also looking at operator network services like network maintenance, network planning, optimization, on top of customer experience-driven use cases. So I think those are the initial set of use cases that operators will look to realize using AI, ML, and automation.